If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. Okay, so it's still 20 January, and sorry, I'm gonna do a presentation now regarding Kim Goguen, and it is gonna get electrified pretty quick. But I'm going to start by letting you know that if you've been following me, you know that Kim Goguen kind of had the DNA to be down there at the banker controller level of counterparts of darkness, and divine feminine has sort of taken the lead and been very adamant. I want you to watch this woman and see adamant. The word is adamant about where we're going. So what's occurred is essentially she's going to describe this timeline that's happened since 6th January. If you've been following me, that you know Lucifer busted out of here 12,500 years ago and put the moon into place. Atlantis got dropped. The earth changed. I mean, that long ago, if we want to go back, for the purposes of her discussion and what is going to be addressed. But I'll pull it forward for you in a window because we know that the Anunnaki crash landed 2,130 years BC. So what is going to be described from a contractual standpoint could be as recent as that window, all the way back to 12.5. I'd be inclined to say 12.5 because then he can fly out of here, and she, Lucifer. Okay, so let me get to Kim, and please understand that her mission now, you know the old SWIFT banking system. If you want to transfer money internationally, traditionally, you use the SWIFT code system to get your money through the Fed to be approved to go overseas. The Fed, that isn't really a part of our government, it's the money system. So she got the keys to the money system from the Rothschilds by her DNA. Go Solomon. Go, hey, you're just not doing this anymore. We're shutting down all the portals. This is kind of the money portal. And she's the angel on earth who's handling it face to face with dragon families and Charlie Ward, who is a Luciferian child trafficker. So I hope this, I'm going to make sure this is on BitChute, and I hope that fat ass watches it, because he's a joke. Him and Simon Parks and this, whatever they're doing, Charlie Ward, and they're all Trump zombies. So line it up. She's not afraid of anybody, this woman. So I don't want to digress too long because I've got a lot to talk about in the world of esoteric truth, which is coming our way. And these guys that are still trafficking cargo, you know, the window's open to discontinue. All right, let's watch this woman. I really like her a lot too, by the way. I'm going to meet her someday. It'll be probably a coincidence. And I'll go, I know you. And she'll go, really? And then she'll see me and she'll say, oh, we put the plan together. I don't know. It's just so great. So watch. Here she goes. Now she's going to explain what's going on basically since 6-7 January. Remember, Trump canceled his thing. He's got no money. Here we go.
Major contract. So the biblical story goes there was a covenant that Source made with Lucifer, right? And all the angels fell. And the story talks about how they fell to earth, right? Right. Well, not necessarily. So God, Source, the creator, created all things. Right? Period, end of story. Everything, every spark of life comes from the same place. It is still in you right now because you're still breathing, you're still moving, and you still have a soul. So it's still in you right now. So if you imagine the multiverse, we've talked about this before.
Just to insert very quickly, Not everybody has everything, right? We are source. You know, I've had discussions with women before, and I've made the mistake of assuming they know everything because of what they're carrying with them and their purpose in life. And then I assume 9/11 truth that was not a part of the purpose, and then I cause a problem because I'm too fast. So please understand, she doesn't know all the details that I'm going to provide you, yet she is a key and a master. So listen.
Complete darkness and complete light, and we're right smack dab in the middle. So the lower astral was created at that time, and the balance between good and evil, right? Which is technically within all of us as well, right? Some people are way over here, and they're, I guess you would call it saintly. You know, wouldn't hurt a fly. You know, try to live their life in service to everyone else. And then you have people that are just outright evil. You'll never change those people. We've talked about those people. Everyone else is somewhere in between, and on any given day, they may be more over here or more over there. You know, but it's all what you do with it. So the balance between good and evil on an etherical level is what basically ended on that day. So the Gales of Indiscretion covenant is what they called it here. So because the dark side has no rules, it was easier.
No rules, just right, Australia.
I would say the ruling contract every year when it came due.
On the Barbie.
So renewable. Did we learn yet? Are we light yet? Are we moving forward yet? Nope. Okay, they're going to stay in power. So
they make a contract deal. They make a deal at the beginning of the year. They got the advantage over you. They control you. So they do make a contract with Source. And Source will contract in for as long as they're in charge. Because, hey, they're ahead of you. It's plain and simple. You pay taxes. Let's listen.
As a byproduct of that, when that covenant officially expired here, as a byproduct of the main covenant, which I guess you would call it the covenant of Source or God, right? To create the other side, evil, or allow evil to exist, then this was a byproduct here. So for far too long, the dark side has been in control. People have always, quote unquote, chosen. If the majority of our consciousness on an etherical level, to an extent, there's a lot of implied consent here. They tell you what they're going to do to you 3 times, and then they just do it to you, right?
Black magic.
Yeah, it's not our fault. But anyway, the point is that...
You know, if they're putting out 9/11 information in the Back to the Future trilogy, that's quantum 3 times. Knock 3 times on that ceiling, and they're going to drop it. So, it's commercials. When they repeat things, the redundancy, but 3 times minimum apparently is a rule. Ready, set, go. Ready, aim, fire. Okay.
According to the rules of the road here in the Gales of Indiscretion covenant, we passed the test. So we are finally, not only here, okay, so this is just one aspect of it. Everybody else had to figure out how to create peace too and stop fighting against oppressors. And so apparently this was the day, and that's when it all started happening. So as a byproduct of that, all of their structures were no longer valid in the Hall of Records, which then trickled down to the archives. So if they were on the dark side, battle lines were drawn, remember? And you chose your side. So once that happened, it started wiping out and removing every structure they had put in place, be it a secret society that had sovereignty or dragon families or whatever structures they had put in, tribes they took over, what a mess, right? So it just all went clean. And in the interim, I just put in, you know, state this and state that. And then I started saying, help, Kelly, I need all those ratification packages right now, you know. He's been holding on to a lot of them for me, putting them all in order so it would make it easy. So I needed to get those right away for that reason, because I'm like, oh my God, I can't have a power vacuum. So that's why when we started registering.
So what occurred was, when the contract expired on the 6th, because there's an absence of agreement, this woman has expedited what you would call like a backfill to the positive. And she's organizing in a very deliberate, structural way a ground-up, assembly-based way of redistributing money that's going to be there as long as she's around, because she's adamant. So I'm, as you can see, I'm using my plate to add many other words that she didn't include, but she would probably refine what I say about some of these things and where exactly they fit. But please trust me, okay? You know, I'm devoted to my mission, and you guys are it. So I can't lay it out any clearer than this, and I'll discuss my plate more.
Registering things in the Hall of Records, it didn't necessarily mean the money just spent out. It was a part of it, but you can't have two things in the same place at the same time. See what I mean? Their structure and our structure was trying to coexist in the same space, and so they weren't getting funding, we weren't getting funding, and then nobody knew why. So that was one answer to the question. You know, I wish sometimes Source would give me all the information ahead of time so I could at least gauge what I'm going to do and what.
This is so important, what she's about to say. Remember, listen to her words. She just said, I wish Source would give me the information ahead of time. Remember now that she's been given this responsibility, and she is the point woman for this. She's got a staff of people that are good, devoted staff. But what she's about to say is a part of how we're supposed to live, I guess, in the trust of she's out there and she's not listening to dark phone calls from presidents with orange heads that want to do stuff and then they, don't give money to generals, whatever she says, I believe, as far as her phone calls on the bat phone with Trump. She's the lady that's answering the phone for the old Rothschild switchboard, and they're going, uh-oh, we got to work around this. Kushner's got some crap going on with his $3 billion that he put together, so it's not like it's dead, but she is backfilling. And my point of this pause is to introduce, I owe it to her to look at her face, study this woman, and see a beautiful lady who is very adamant, and yet listen to what she says about Source.
Me too. Once in a while, I mean. At exactly the right moment, not a minute too early and not a minute too late, enough to act on whatever it is. So that was on the 7th. Okay, so their entire structure basically started crumbling on that day. They are aware, they did get the notifications, they knew this was going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen. They just didn't tell anyone, like the militaries that worked for them, the agencies that worked for them, the terrorist organizations that worked for them. Right. They didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell the heads of state, right? But this is in your national archives. If you are a head of state, or military, or government, and you're asking the question, call the National Archives office. If you have clearance, they'll give you the information.
Let me just insert, if you paid attention to Trump's speech on the 15th or 16th in Arizona, that man was scorching hot, pointing at the media, how they're fake. And whose television? Who's his audience?
Okay, so now, let's see, on the 8th I did that. Okay, so not important. Yeah, okay. So in true fashion, because the under, men and women, I guess you would say, not the top of the Black Sun or the head of the Dragon families, this would be the lower end. So they told them that the covenant didn't expire and they're in charge. So then they wasted days of the military's time, true to fashion, and
This is military generals. Think about the Western Chinese shaking hands with the Taliban, and Mahmoud al-Sisi is in Egypt, whose father is like a military leader. We used to have foreign internal defense money to stand up these nation states, and we ain't got it. But, Kushner's pushing away on his peace thing with the false peace and the 50 million, I guess. That's pencil eraser money. I don't recall the exact amount of the Gaza bulldozer money, but let's get back to this.
Started hacking at the back system, running every code, every UN code, every code to every government's account, You know, everything that was out there that they could get their hands on. They had the United Nations concede to them and turn over all their codes, financial and otherwise. You know, this system doesn't exist. I mean, this just went on all day long. And I thought about it, and I'm like, well, do we actually want to just let this go on and let them figure out that it's not working on any account anywhere, just like all in one day? Or do we just cut them off? Like, we decided to just let it run. They weren't hurting anything. They weren't getting anywhere. There wasn't any fear of them having an access code to anything to start a war or anything else. So we just let it run until they exhausted themselves out of accounts. So the reason why they were told to do that, though, is because, again, they were lied to repeatedly by these people.
So this is like them just, the locks got changed on the house, and they're trying 100 keys, basically. But none of those keys work anymore because the locks have been changed. Is that basically how, not to oversimplify it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to hazard a guess. This is Trump and his cohorts telling others, look, don't worry about it. We got it. We're going to load up the Batmobiles and we're going.
In a nutshell. So system then started recalibrating based on all these covenants that expired, and we started to obtain more and more access to more and more things on the front end of the system. But we weren't done yet, so there was still something else to come here shortly. Okay, also on the 10th, I know you're all familiar with maritime law, right? And admiralty law and all of this, which gave someone custody of your soul or your vessel, right? So as part of the things that expired, okay, at that point, we had won, our side had won, I guess you would say the light side had won the custody of the souls, the caretakers of the souls, right? Well, we didn't want that. We need you to take care of your own. Your problem is your problem, not our problem. Right. We're just here to assist you, guide you, you know, make sure that you're protected as we grow and we learn, just like the, you know, like your parents do to you, right? They want you to grow and learn on your own and make your own decisions and teach you to be an adult, right? Once you're an adult. So you're all adults. So the release of the naval code was done and all of the notices were sent out that you are now the caretaker of your own vessel.
I'd just like to give a special shout out to all my Navy brothers and sisters that get out there on the water. And let me say, in all honesty, off the top of my head, that the reason that I did not go into the Navy is that the thought of being on a boat without women for 6 months was just not comprehensible. So I was so honest with myself about how I felt in those days. Hey, I want to be able to be standing next to a girl and like not even look at her, so I hope she looks at me. So I don't need to be in the Navy for that. I want to go in the Army and dig holes, and you know, I went down the Marine path and I got turned, you know, it was just destiny that I am where I am. But I just want to give a shout out to my maritime brothers. They speak their own code, you know. It wasn't an Army mission that went down to MacGruber, and Admiral Byrd was not an Army aviator, and go on and on and on. With the Navy, if you can sail the 7 seas, and if you're on that boat and you're locked into a program, submariner, you don't know where the hell you're going to float up. Oh, it might be an underground something debumping. Shh. Navy. And of course, Navy's got the lead in CENTCOM right now. Navy's got the lead, so this might be vaporware. And I love Kim. But shall I help her watch what's happening with Abraham? Bama, bama, bama. Okay, back to her. Back to the bam bam.
So we don't have it, they don't have it. Now
Yeah.
This was very important, okay? Because think of all the bonds and the debt instruments that are generated off taking care of your person.
This is my my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Brennan. Just because there's, you know, she's slightly distracting because she's a very good-looking woman, and she's my analogy of the lady in the airport or the woman in Vegas that sits down next to you to play blackjack, and you're like, man, I'm not going anywhere till you leave.
Okay, everything from Social Security, the Department of Defense vouchers, Treasury notes, government programs, socio-humanitarian programs, COVID bonds, all designed to take care of you, right? Because they were essentially owners of your person. Okay? The birth certificate bonds and things that everybody talks about is all a part of this as well, but just a small part. Okay? Now, for every dollar that they generated, 10 cents of that went to caring for you and 90 cents went in their pocket. This also involves large
It's the Harley.
Ridiculously large ones.
But
right?
we like
to
it.
Take care of you. So it's a lot bigger than that. Public education, if you have free public education in your country, that is also part of it. And that's why all of a sudden, about 10, 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, now if you have kids that are in school or grandkids that are in school, you have to
school boards, paid positions for these people to go sit around and scratch their behinds at meetings.
provide the school supplies now for the classroom.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I interrupted her. Apparently in the public schools, you buy your own crap. They do it in the Philippines already. Oh yeah, Billy knows. All my Filipinos watching, you guys pay out your third point of contacts to send your children to school. And let me tell you what, how many bags of rice is that? So that a child could learn. It's absurd, and it's happening. Anybody that disagrees, please leave a freaking comment. But I'll continue.
We didn't have to do that when we were kids, right?
Ridiculous, by the way, yeah.
Yep. So
like the public school's supposed to have this stuff, the glue you can sniff.
They cannot issue bonds for any program that allows you to be their governess anymore. That is over. Your governess.
Right.
Like Mary Poppins.
Yep. Right. Got it. Yeah. So Kim, just before you jump, so that's literally and now you said this when you started the press release. You said this is the biggest announcement in the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So essentially, this was an energy management system.
Yep.
That basically allocated 10%, if that, to be honest, of the resources and the energy we ourselves are producing to basically suppress us so that we didn't get out of control, right?
Yeah.
And all of our creative energy.
This is the 10% right here of creator suppression.
Can't have those. Can't have any kind of innovation.
Listen, we're born into this. Don't feel like a victim when you hear this controller stuff. It's very important to know. Once you know who you are, understand you're part of this. You volunteered to be unwitting of all this. You're born in, and it's like, this was all real. What do you mean? This is all a part of a plan? A nation and a state and the Star-Spangled Banner and Colin Kirkpatrick? Oh yeah, it's all just razzmatazz. Razzmatazz from the utility management. And here's a huge one, because I can do this all in one video. That Port Authority, when Robert Moses set up those highways on Long Island and busted out, and you got that connectivity going on that turned into the federal interstate system, it got hubbed out of the transit authority in Manhattan. And if you were to ever, remember, Christie, I don't know where he went, Chris Christie, I will hunt him down. Hopefully he's on a diet somewhere. But that guy was tied up in this transit thing. That was something that got him dirty somehow. This is a money pit. Every $5 that you throw, and then they do it electrically now. So for the privilege of driving your car across a constructed bridge, you're supposedly paying for the new one, which is probably padded in some other asinine part of the budget. But there is no... I am unaware of the honest-to-goodness comptroller of this version of the Fed. So the Fed is out with the banks ripping everything off using these rules of fiat, where you only need an actual, count the money dollars in your safe in order to loan as much as you want out until, it's vaporware and they print more. That's where we're at right now. But, these tolls are so important. Do the math on the cataclysm of what? It's $3 a gallon for gas. Now, you're a person that lives in Staten Island and you work in Belmont. Holy smokes. Upstate. New York is my home turf. So I can talk about America, and all these analogies won't necessarily, but I'll bet if you're watching this in England or Australia or the Five Eyes countries, they're working this model on you, more liberal or more state by state. You know, Canada's a test bed, Australia's a test bed, but they're both very mineral rich, yet they're not in charge. You know, the United States has the food. All our countries are blessed with what they need. So when we stand up this and we drop all this, I mean, this has gone away. She's telling you, I don't know that I need to play anymore. I don't want to feel as though that I missed something I should have played. So I'll really let this.
Progress. So they suppress things constantly, suppressed inventions, suppressed everything. So now you're saying, I mean, so this is basically a contractual agreement, and this was brought up before about that our silence was.
This is Tank. Right? So he's a sidekick, and he's on the trying to make things happen. He's a good guy.
And basically, because we did,
you know, he plays second string. She's a very this woman's got a lot. You know, she's got no time for bullshit, and they understand that about her. She talks very impatiently, and they're working their asses off.
That's not possible.
Okay, I'm just speaking over him because he, you know, this is her.
They're trying as best they can.
He's the guy.
Not to let markets crash and all
this
kinds
is
of
DNA
things,
right
reality,
here.
Do we care?
Face to face with
a talk with Penny
the
Kelly
dark
yesterday,
side.
And we were talking about, none of us really cared what the government did. I mean, I don't know if you did, but I didn't care. I didn't care who was president. I didn't care who sat in what chair. I didn't go vote. I didn't wait in that long line to go for some guy that was lying to me on TV anyway. I didn't care. Until you started making me wear a mask. You started locking down everything, right? And you started trying to forcibly give me medical treatment that I don't want nor need. Right?
That's the way of looking at it.
So, anyway,
from her point of view,
now you and I have a problem, right? The governments and I have a problem. So,
Donald,
you know, everybody's so concerned the market's crashing, the EBS is coming out, or whatever's coming out, and this person's going to go
EBS, Emergency Broadcast System.
Please focus on our needs. We have a lot of them.
See, she's saying, guys, she's saying the same thing that all the angels are telling us. Don't worry about these crazy bastards that are coming at us with madness. Guillotines and man-made madness is where we're at right now. They're going to pull all the plugs. And this woman's just saying, look, be the people in the bigger painting with the chaos apparently appears to be going on, magnified by Hollywood and the news and the mocking head media, makes it a disproportional 90% image of what's going to happen. Even if you just limit it to TV, never mind all this has been canceled. So all that's left is what they put on TV, you know, and whatever they think revenue they can generate. It's more about programming your head at this case. So this is where she's coming. If you live in a community, what do you need? I don't care, whatever country you live in right now, learn about Kim Goguen, Kim. Please, guys. Why? I mean, this is another one of these, why not live forever? Okay? Kimberly Ann Goguen, that's her. And I'll just tell you, she did it. She went face to face with MARDUK, whomever that creature was, who lived a long life, died. And she may have contributed to it because he time looped her in through Looking Glass, because Marduk, whomever, I mean, what a shame it would be if we don't know who the hell the character is. He must have made appearances on somewhere. I'm going with she's described enough about this Asian-related stuff, and, you know, I just don't know. You got Bush Sr., I mean, people that died recently, but he was, you know, I don't know who it was, but I'm telling you that she has dealt with Enlil and Inky. She throws them out by name, and these are the ones that I described to you earlier in this briefing, which Sam the Illusionist channeled and I expanded upon on the David Icke side of coming down with the Anunnaki in Sumeria and and Tribulation and Anu and Enki and Enlil in the Sumerian tablets. And this woman will tell you straight-faced that she was face-to-face with these beings and played the game with them, and they tried to dirty her up on routine, and she just lived her life. She was like a mom, maybe single mom, PTA, sort of, hey, leave me alone, you know, let me go. But then she was put into the spot. Hey, you have this spot. Okay, and okay, I have this spot. She was sort of like the new person. Hey, here's Kim. And all the other Illuminatis are going, okay, and they all know, okay, this is the one we got to watch. We already know we're going to have to fight her when the time comes, so let's try and be nice. Let's rowdy her up at the parties and see what she wants to drink. And here she is. She told them all, here's the new system. I have a creator, and I'm doing it the way that it's supposed to be done, with everybody participating. This is a special woman, so I'll let her speak a little bit more.
Our neighbors are going hungry. We don't have proper roads in a lot of areas of the world. Hell, you can't even listen to this video because your broadband's terrible. 5G rollouts are crashing planes. Airlines are not willing to land at airports where 5G towers are close by. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Pilots are crashing due to blood clots and things from, things. So, I mean, we've got a lot to focus on to take care of us. We are now our own governess. Okay? You govern yourself.
Good. Okay. That's enough on her. So